Welcome everyone, this is Polyphenols and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Sanswinda
Hello.
and Krister.
Hello.
Hello everyone, are you ready to talk more about the updates in LOTRO this week?
Sure.
Yep. Lots of people have talked about it, so interesting to see what's coming.
Alright, first of all, let's start with what we had this week, where along with that long downtime that we had on Wednesday, 23 hours worth of downtime, they performed an update, which first off, they fixed an issue where delving missions quests on Tier 8 counted towards the weekly delving quest Delve Deepest Weekly, and 6-player Tier 8 delvings did not. And also note that Delve Deepest Weekly has been versioned. This quest will reset any progress made on the update, which, considering that the system was down all of Wednesday, probably you would probably had to have gotten all of your delves done before Wednesday in any case, so I don't think that particular French case would have affected too many people directly. Now, the 23 hours downtime, that may have affected some
That was a
people
direct
better.
impact, yeah.
Yes, that was probably a direct impact. So I hope enough people got news to it so they could adjust their delving quests accordingly. And for bug fixes, Haugless, the Guardian barter vendor in Glandreich, has been informed that his attire was inappropriate. The dwarf, under minimal protest, relented and donned his armor once again. Huzzah!
I told him he had to wear pants underneath those chaps.
Samwise Ganji, loyal attendant, could previously give you some fish that, due to lack of recipes, would need to be eaten raw, completely against the advice that he provides. This has been remedied.
Maybe it was a test, like a loyalty test or something.
Loyalty test. He was testing to see whether or not you were affiliated with Gollum.
Do you like things raw and wriggling?
Yes. The Farmer's Fair quest, Missing Things, now properly counts towards the daily wrapper. Steed of the Elder items received from adventurers and travelers' loot boxes will now correctly bind to account and disenchant. This does not correct Steed of the Elder items already obtained from adventurers and travelers' loot boxes. Collection panel information on where to acquire the following cosmetic pets has been updated: Spotted Jerboa, Copper Netherhound, Buff Donkey, Formal Corky, Toffee Goat Kid, Mottled Craban, Ashen Eagle, Copper Goat, Spotted Pig, Two-Toned Sheep, and Red Gecko. On smaller resolutions, the Ravanian submenu will now have a scroll bar if it is too tall for the game client.
Whoa.
Yeah?
That's pretty amazing.
What smart scrollballing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes with some of the UI stuff, you're just like, why can't I resize this?
The Pelennor Ambusher's Armor set bonus now works as expected for burglars. And items from the Entmoors that were placed into players' banks were throwing string table errors when added to bank inventories. This has been fixed. Also, there are some general changes. This build includes changes in support of the upcoming 7th season of the Legendary Items Reward Track. Reward Track Season 7 debuts on August 16th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Now, this pretty much tells us that we are not to expect any further updates to the game prior to that point. So my guess then is that update 37 is probably scheduled for the week after that, maybe the 23rd.
Yeah, that would make sense.
We have to find out. I mean, it could be latest the 30th. The problem is that's just before a holiday, so I suspect they're trying to shoot for the 23rd at least. Also, this build includes changes in support of the upcoming Farmers Fair, which debuts on the Live Games World at 10 a.m. Eastern on August 17th and runs until 3 a.m. Eastern on September 7th. New rewards include Blazing Firmament Character Cosmetics, Steeds, and Warsteed Cosmetics, a Blazing Firmament Centerpiece Housing Decoration, and a Firefox Bandit Cosmetic Pet. A lot of hot stuff going for the Farmers Fair this year. And small and medium essence and trace-free carry-alls can now hold up to 400 of any given essence, trace-free, or enhancement rune. Thank you.
Yeah.
And large essence and trace-free carry-alls can now hold up to 1,000 of any given essence, tracery, or enhancement rune. And that's it for what was included in update 36.2. Now, this also brought in the new store, which meant that things have changed in their appearance all over the store. I don't have either of you had a chance to visit the new store?
I have not. No.
I have not yet.
All right, you haven't in there? Well, then I suggest that you do. First of all, something that you'll notice in the sales for this week, and the other is that so you get an idea of what it looks like now, and it does look better than the old store. Now, one of the things that someone noticed was that sturdy steel keys were not in the store when it came back up. Now, I didn't even realize that they were still selling sturdy steel keys. I assumed that they were removed from the store a year ago, at least, maybe 2 years ago. It's because these are the keys that are used in order to open up those boxes that are in Lalia's market. But yes, some people noticed it, some people complained about it. So something was made clear on this is they did temporarily put them back into the game. They want to make it clear that they are going to be retired probably in update 37 because they feel that the only reason why those boxes are being sold by Lalia was because some people had these sturdy steel keys back from when they opened up new player boxes prior to the update where the steel keys were sort of retired from being the top level key and all that stuff. So,
Or from the anniversary event, because you used to be able to run around killing mobs and sometimes you'd get them.
yeah. So, yeah, for some people who had them from either killing mobs or from whatever old ways you used to be able to get them, they had put those things into Lalia so they will still have something that they could open up. And I suspect it was never intended that they would be a permanent item in the store or anything like that. So yes, they are planning to remove them. The suddenness of it was the only reason why they decided, all right, we'll put them back in temporarily. But we're warning you, they are going to be removed.
Right. Removed or retired? Because I was thinking that I can at least save a couple and stack them next to my travel rations. It's kind of a...
Oh, okay. I meant removed from the store, which is what I meant by retired. Okay, anyway. Yes. So that's it. They are planning, as I said, to be officially deprecated in Update 37. So make sure that any remaining keys and boxes you might have before then. Now, it might be that the things in Lalia would be there a little bit longer just in case you have some old keys. sitting around, but try to use them as fast as possible. Either that, or if you don't care about them and they've been sitting in your inventory for the last 4 years and haven't used them yet, then, well, maybe you don't care enough about them to worry. All right, let's go to Bulwer. Speaking of Update 37, and they had beta number 3 this week. They opened up Bulwer on Tuesday. It was down during the first half of the downtime, then it came back up. It was the first thing that came up after the down. Actually, the forums were the first thing that came back up because the forums actually came up a lot earlier than they were expecting. But the forums did come back up, and a couple hours after that, they were able to bring Bulwer back up. And while the rest of the world, so I was able to play along with a little bit in the Bulwer in there. And some of the things that they did is that the Guardian traits and skills for this version, as part of the update, Guardian characters will need to retrain their skills, and the same thing was true with the Bjorning. So that thing to note is, since they were doing Guardian and Bjorning updates, this one, you probably would have guessed that, yes, they will be resetting all your skills, so when you log into those characters for the first time after the update 37, you will need to redo all your traits. And let's see. Oh yes, they added a new starter area for the River Hobbits because all the complaints that they had about there being no tutorial specific to the River Hobbits, Made of Lions decided to go and make a new tutorial for this. So that was added in beta number 3. And one of the things that some people noticed in there was that they had a really nice looking set of cosmetics. So the next question people were asking, hey, where can I get those cosmetics? But they said that they are intending to actually put those because one of the other things that they added was a vector quest to the Shire for River Hobbits. And they had some placeholder rewards in there. Apparently, anything involving River Hobbits that had a placeholder in there was giving Snoot for a stone. You don't believe how many times I managed to get Snoot for the stone for this particular. And yes, it looks like that the traits for the River Hobbits, those skills are all still had placeholders in there, and I don't know what the real ones are going to be yet. But they did add the enmities in there for the River Hobbits. And what do you think are the enmities for the River Hobbits? Either you two could guess?
Let's see. Dry, like something dry, they're probably hate the desert. And then I'm assuming they probably don't like people that can't swim.
I vote slugs.
Slugs.
You would think they would ride slugs.
Enmity. Yeah, enmity of the slugs. That would be.
I think that would be funny.
A slug is just a spider without legs.
Yeah, or like the giant toads.
A toad is just a spider with 4-less legs.
All right. Anyway, I decided to go and test it out to see if I could find out what the enmities are. And all right, I killed a goblin because I was expecting goblins, of course, because goblins are seen to be one of the main things they're doing. And I killed a goblin and it said enmity of the orcs and goblins.
Good.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So they sort of rolled them all together for that particular one. Then they actually had enmity of the wolves. I was a little surprised on that because I thought they might have had more likely have trouble with wargs than with the wolves, but it was wolves that they had, and either that one or that one was still a placeholder because regular hobbits have that also. And the third one was the one that was really surprised me. I was thinking, well, what could be the third one doing? I was trying to kill all sorts of things, trying to find one. Then I said, let's run Fort of Bruinen. And maybe giants or trolls are them because they're out in the misties and stuff like this. And the first mob that came down was a wood troll. I killed the wood troll, and then it came up. New deed, enmity of the wood trolls. That was very specific.
That's pretty specific.
So yeah, so it was. So the orcs and goblins being bundled together, and the wood trolls. I'm pretty confident on the wolves.
You could have wolves and wargs too.
Maybe they could change that to wolves and wargs because I was expecting wargs to more likely than wolves when I was doing that little test in there.
And then trolls could be trolls and tarantulas.
So they did add a new tutorial for river hobbits that you can go through when you are playing a river hobbit. Also, let's go into classes and skills. Auto attacks for all characters have been returned to their normal speed. So that's a change from the previous beta. We shouldn't notice that one if you're just playing online. For burglars, serrated knives and throwing hatchets can now correctly be used while moving.
Was that the classic "don't run with scissors" restriction?
Skill delay has been removed from all consumable items and burglar signals. And the debuff bust has had its finesse decrease changed to match the increase from the burglar skill all in. For the captain, at the 4 should no longer loop around to 10 stacks when you consume your last stack of melee healing. Did you ever notice a problem about that?
I never did, no.
Okay. You never got past 10 stacks, so
That's probably what I could never achieve it in the first place, so how would I know? Yeah.
Yes. And for champions can now wield two-handed clubs beginning at level 10. And as for wardens, passive critical defense bonuses now gives the correct post-stat crunch value. So that's probably something that you only know from Volver then. As for quest deeds and adventures, fix an issue where delving mission quests on tier 8 counted towards the weekly delving quest, Delve Deepest, and 6-player tier. Actually, that particular item it sounds like it was something that was in the update, wasn't it? And let's see, add a new deed to completing 3 and 6-player delving instances at tiers 8, 10, and 12, which reward delving barter writs and virtue XP. And as for miscellaneous things, all racial traits which modify your character's stats now give appropriate values. Traits will reduce a stat should always give smaller values than traits that increase a stat. Also, various hobby trout now specify that they can be used in crafting by apprentice cooks. I think that's something that they already could be, but they didn't specify it. So I only learned about it because somebody told me. And human female and Bjorning females were playing a male laugh at the end of the /drink boot emote. They now play a female laugh instead. Emotes. Many race gender combos were incorrectly playing 2 burp sound effects during the burp emote animation. The extraneous burp at the start of the animation has been removed.
I am insulted. It is lore that everybody in Middle Earth was very gassy.
Emotes. The /attack emote now has sound effects for all races and genders. and emotes. The human females and Bjorning females now play the correct sounds for the following emotes: slash drink boost, slash knees, slash stone, slash paper, slash scissors, and slash um, wipe sweat. All right, yeah, you have to have the right sound effects when you play rock paper scissors, I guess. And the Dwarf Candle cosmetic consumables have been retired from the LOTRO store. I bet there are no complaints would be had about that one.
The question is, have they also been retired from Hobbit presents?
Well, I think Hobbit presents only extract things that are in the store, don't they?
I had that. I think I told you guys where I cleaned out my inventory. I had freed up a full bag, and then I opened that Hobbit gift, and I got like 10 of those candles, 10 stacks of them, and it was filled up my inventory immediately. I'm like, oh, I curse you, dwarves! So that my character must have had something to do with this. So.
All right, yeah. Having your gold present be be the variety pack for dwarf candles is quite a pain.
It was exceedingly frustrating, which is how I generally feel a Hobbit gift should be. Is oh, thanks.
Yes. All right, and concerning the cosmetics from the tutorial, I talked about that earlier. They noted as that this new item that the new cosmetic is going to be available. That they're planning on making it available on that Vector's quest that I talked about earlier, the one that's currently. That's right. I think I might have mentioned that already. Then, so let's head into the store sale. Oh, okay. Here's one that's probably going to be a surprise to no one actually. Before I do that, and that is that they were noticing on the PvMP side that the siege mode that they have been working on is being delayed again. It's not going to be an update 37. Mainly, probably because I noticed that in the vicinity of that announcement, there were a lot of complaints about how siege mode is operating.
Well, is it like it's too weak or too powerful?
Well, it looks like that that's based on a static quest or something like that, and a lot of people think, no, that's the game shouldn't be driving PvMP as they feel. They feel that the player should be driving PvMP. So it looks like they're going to look into that. I have a feeling, see if they could improve it, I guess. Whatever is the case, the current version of it that they were testing on Bulwer is apparently not going to be the final version. Now we can go into store sales. Sans, what's on sale this week?
Well, this week, you can determine your discount. You can save up to 30% now through August 10th. 15% off any 5 items with code LOTRO15. 20% off any 3 items with code LOTRO20, or 30% off any 1 item with code LOTRO30. You can also accelerate your adventure. Get 20% off Valor level boosts and Mithril coins through August 10th. And there's a weekly coupon, which is a Slayer Deed Accelerator for 6 hours, with the coupon code SLAYDEED. And that's also good through August 10th.
Whee! Now, you notice in there, one of the things in there was a determine your discount store sale in there.
The one that sprung in my mind was pay me $200.
Pay me $200?
Yeah, well, that'd be a great discount if I could name my own discount, you know.
No. They're not quite naming it to that level. What they mean by this is that you could choose which item you get for each of these codes.
Yeah, now, I know. My dream was quickly dashed by the actual information.
Squirrel did post an article talking about the new store codes and how they work, and talking about that in these you could use the 30% code once, you could use the 20% code 3 times, and you could use the 15% code 5 times. And yes, you can use the 30% one, then use the 20, and the 20. You could use all 3 of those codes. So that means you could use it to. So that means you have a total of 9 discounts that you can get in there: 5, 15, 3, 20, and 130. Second thing, yeah, that's why it says be a good time to go and check out the new stores, so that if there's anything that you want in there and that you're waiting for it to go on sale, you could effectively make it go on sale. And one of the things in there is that if you apply a code to an item that's on sale, the coupon code that you're using is going to override whatever the sale one is. It's not cumulative, it just uses one in there. So if you wanted to get that Valor for 30% off instead of the 20% off that's on sale for you, you could use your 30% code. I do not recommend using the 15% code on a Valor since it's on sale this week. I mean, you don't want to override your 20% sale price with a 15% sale price. That's counterproductive. But if you wanted to, you could use your 30% coupon on something that is only 20% off if you just wanted that little bit more on there. But it's not cumulative. It just goes with the code. If you put the code on it, it will use that instead of the 20%. So that's the thing to remember if you use them. Now, note that these coupons do expire with the rest of the sale. Now, I noticed they didn't give the expiration date in the notice in there because it said now through August 10th for the regular sale and for the coupon codes. They didn't say it on the determinable on discount thing. But yes, those also do have the same deadline now through August 10th, which you'll be able to use these. So that's it for all those changes in there. So let's go into our gaming for the week. Krister, what were you up to?
Well, all was quiet on the LOTRO front on Friday. I think most people were either burning alive or on vacation, so, so it was. We couldn't quite muster a group. However, I do believe a couple of our people went over to join you guys for Mythgard, and you might have adventured, so I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And then last week, when we played Minecraft, I continued to explore the gigantic caverns below the base we've constructed, and they still have not reached the end of them, and it's actually really cool to see how extensive the underground is. And then other than that, played a little Diablo 4, and now I've got my sorcerer up to a level that I would call Tim the Enchanter level. He is a devastating fire. He just lights everything. He just burns the world to ash. It's just been very fun. It's surprisingly fun to burn things. And so that was my week. So Sans, what were you up to?
Well, I played some more Scrap Mechanic with my nephew, and I managed to build a flying vehicle that doesn't just flip around and crash. Yeah.
Hooray!
I mean, my last version of the one that flipped around and crashed, I put wheels on so that I could, like, drive around upside down when I, like, ended up upside down. And that was pretty cool. But then I came up with an idea to fix it, and I made it so, like, it actually, like, lifts off and doesn't just, like, flip uncontrollably and crash. But, while it lifts off nicely, and I can keep it relatively level, I still can't, like, make it go anywhere yet. So, I guess it's more like a stationary hovercraft. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing about. And my hope was that was announced to the pilot after you took off. Right. All right, good news. It's not flipping over. We're not going to crash. However, we can't steer.
Right. Like, I could make it go a little ways, but that mostly involved causing it to start flipping again.
Oh, hold on.
But you've gone from crash to non-crash, flip to non-flip. So you'll be going from uncontrollable to controllable.
Oh, hold on.
Hopefully.
What kind of flying vehicle is this?
Well,
I'm guessing a pumpkin, maybe some kind of gourd.
I don't know what you would call it. I used some
call
blocks
it
to
gourd.
create like a base that I could put a driver's seat on, and then attached some rockets to it, thrusters.
Thrusters?
Yeah, that sounds very similar to a project I engaged in when I was about 12 years old,
Yeah.
in the backyard at our house.
And like the biggest problem is that well, for me the biggest problem is that the game mechanics don't do what I expect them to do. So like, I expect that if I attach a thruster pointed so that it would like cause something to go up, that it will cause something to go up. But in the game, that's not necessarily what will happen. So, yeah.
Well, it depends on where the thruster is relative to the center of gravity, probably.
Well, fair. Anyway, I've been experimenting. And, yeah. I had to add some extra ones and kind of put them on diagonally to get it to go up and stay up. So, with different buttons to control the ones in the back and facing backwards and the ones facing forwards.
So it's a bit of a rocket then.
It's a kind of. I mean, it can't like go straight up very high though, or else I'll get stuck in the world box thing. Not that I'd have any reason to know that or anything. Yeah, so still got some work to do to figure out the way to make something fly. But, yeah, that was a good experiment. And I managed to save up and put more than 1 million dinks into my bank in dinkum. So I finally had a very shady visitor in the rain.
Okay.
Yeah, he was kind of rude too. I don't think I like him very much.
You don't like him?
But I did make some money, so that was nice.
Yeah. Oh, actually, so you
and
should
I bought a
at
tractor.
one point. Have you checked the photos on the wall in the Tucker box?
Oh, I'll have to check that.
Yeah, check them in there, and you'll understand why I brought that up when you do.
I will do that.
Okay.
And then I had fun mining. And I learned some irresponsible ways to mine. Practiced some more irresponsible mining as well. But also learned a new responsible way to mine, which is basically like destroy all the walls near the elevator until it gets to be almost late and then run for the elevator. And sometimes you find lots of fossils.
Yes, that was a bit surprising when we found all those fossils.
That was fun. So we managed to try a repeat run. We had a couple that were kind of successful and one that was pretty disappointing. But yeah, that was kind of fun. And it's kind of nice that like you can just take down the whole wall and it doesn't affect the stability of it.
Okay. By the way, has Cinders met Jimmy yet?
Not yet. I don't
Not
think.
yet. Okay, then, because it happens to be raining on the next day in the world that we're visiting.
Oh, cool.
On Wednesday, so
we
may have an opportunity to introduce him to her.
Nice.
Okay.
And I caught lots of fish and a saddle in Minecraft. And then I promptly went and retrieved my donkey that I had to abandon after taming because I couldn't convince it to go anywhere. So
you couldn't convince it to go anywhere. You didn't have the lead either.
I did not have a lead either. I didn't even have any string at the time that I did that because you had been wanting a donkey, and I was like, "Oh look, here's a donkey." And then I realized I would need a saddle to be able to put the saddle and chest on it to be of any use.
Yeah.
So anyway, using the saddle, I moved the donkey to somewhere better. So that was pretty much my week. How was your week, Pineleaf?
All right, I will begin with my Runekeeper, where my roomkeeper quested through Gundabad. I've gotten up to that outdoor area that's taken over by Angrim is pretty much where I'm at right now. So that's there. And afterwards, for Friday Night Fights, the mayhem that Krister spoke of included Attack at Dawn, The Maze, and Doom of Karis Gelebrin. And The Maze, that was done. I think we only had a tier 1 delving on that particular one in there. Thus, we had, in addition to the poison being spouted out by some of the mobs that you normally have in the maze, they're also spouting out fire all over the place. So it really did create mayhem for that. My lore master quested in Moria, and in Minecraft, I built a double farm because I had these two spawners, a zombie spawner and a skeleton spawner. They were 4 blocks diagonally separated from each other. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a skeleton spawner and a zombie spawner ever closer to each other in Minecraft. And they were
those are the ones that I found. Put the screenshots up of.
Well, no, because those were nowhere near that close to each other, right?
Oh, I thought they were. Yeah, when I went down below the first time, I found this zombie and skeleton spawner literally right next to each other.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't realize that because I had thought that yours were nowhere near that close to each other.
Well, what would be cool is if they're not, then we might potentially have another grouping like that too, which would be bizarre.
Well, no, yeah. Well, the one I'm talking about was from another world, not the world that.
Oh! I got you. Okay, so
this is from a completely different. Yeah, this is from a completely different world.
In our world, I posted screenshots in our forum of the 2 spawners I found that were. I don't think you're right. I don't think they're like 4 away, which is but they're pretty close together.
They're pretty close together. Because the numbers I was seeing, it looked like that they weren't close enough to be activated at the same time. But
that's so cool to be able to put those together.
Right.
That's a really cool contraption.
Right. So what I did is I created a mob spawner where I was able to. So I put it into a place where I had them both feeding in, both active at the same time, feeding into the same location, and it seems to be working very, very well now. I did have a few glitches as I was going through, because after the first test to it, I was wondering why I wasn't getting very many mobs and stuff like this. I eventually found that the mechanism I was doing was having them pushed back, then they were going up with a soul sand bubble elevator, then pushed around, dropped down there. I did that before on a previous world, I think on Pink Sheep Island. So what I did So I did that same thing in here, and it turned out that I had forgot to cover up the area with the dropped one had a point where it was an open area, and so some of the mobs were escaping. So when I was leaving the area for it, this massive mobs came charging at me. I said, "Uh-oh." Took me a while to figure out what's going on, but I eventually figured out that they were in. So I decided, all right, let's cover up that drop area. Well, the problem with covering up that drop area was it so happened to have been 4 blocks away from a cave spider spawner, and that was suddenly dark in that area. So it would occasionally spawn a cave spider. It looked like that if I stepped back away from my kill point that I was using for it, I didn't have a double spawner. I effectively had a triple spawner. I just didn't realize that I had a triple spawner, that there was a place you could stand to activate not only the zombie spawner and the skeleton spawner, but also a cave spider spawner.
That's awesome.
That was over my head. And well, right now though, that the cave spider spawner area is lit up because I didn't want that to be a cave spider spawner at the moment, because you have to be careful with cave spider spawners. because cave spiders tend to poison you and things like that. So you have to handle those with care. And I did not develop that to be cave spider safe, shall we say. Though I did notice that occasionally my double spawner is spawning glow squid because I had a couple of glow squid sacks pop up in my in my box when I was going through there. Okay. So that's
I'm sorry.
something.
Have you ever had that when you're in Minecraft underground and it's really dark out and you're kind of slowly probing ahead with your torches, kind of nervously, and then one of those glowing squids drops from the ceiling? Your heart stops for a second because you're like, "What is that?" Oh, okay. It's one of those things. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem there. And that's my week in gaming. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the donations page to support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you'd like to email us, you can send it to podcast@loachplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Loach Players News, and we record Video Players News when Drac is available. And that is all for tonight then. This is Piney Fiddled reminding you to skirmish responsibly.